Picture this. You're at the airport, standing in line, boarding pass in one hand and your bag in the other. You're nervous, but not about flying. Inside your carry-on, you've packed something more valuable than jewelry, more personal than cash. Your medications. They're not just pills or bottles. They're your lifeline. But here's the shocker. As soon as you step toward the TSA scanner, you've unknowingly entered a high-stakes game. See, TSA doesn't just scan for guns, knives, or oversized shampoo bottles. No, they're trained to zero in on medications too. And even if your prescription is perfectly legal, even if it asks from the best doctor in town, TSA can still take it away. And the worst part? It happens to ordinary travelers every single day. In today's video, we're pulling back the curtain on the real reason TSA confiscates your costly medicines. These aren't random accidents. These are hidden rules, overlooked mistakes, and traps designed to catch you off guard. So buckle up. Because by the end of this, you'll know the exact reasons medications vanish at airport security and how to make sure yours don a T. Part 1. The Liquid Rule Trap. Let's start with the most common and the most heartbreaking reason, the TSA 311 liquid rule. You've probably heard it before. No more than 3.4 ounces of liquids, gels, or aerosols in your carry-on. But here's where it gets tricky. Medications are supposed to be an exception. Yes, even insulin vials, liquid antibiotics, cough syrups, and eye drops. The TSA rulebook literally says, reasonable amounts for medical purposes are allowed. Sounds simple, right? Except, it's not. Because if you don't declare those medications separately at the checkpoint, TSA can and will confiscate them. Imagine this. A traveler spends $400 on a specialty insulin vial, keeps it neatly packed with other toiletries, and forgets to pull it out. The X-ray sees oversized liquid. To the officer, it's an instant violation. And in less than 60 seconds, that life-saving medicine is gone. Now picture being that traveler. You're in shock. You're begging the officer to understand, showing your doctor's note, pointing at the label. But TSA doesn't have time for explanations. To them, undeclared liquid is just another breach of protocol. And protocol comes first. This is why so many travelers walk away in tears, not because they broke a law, but because they didn't know the hidden rule. Declare first, explain later, or lose it forever. Part 2. The unmarked bottle disaster. Now here's a mistake so many travelers don't even realize they're making. You know those little pill organizers, the ones with Monday-Sunday slots? Or those plain plastic bottles people use to save space? They're super convenient at home. But at the airport, they're a red flag. See, TSA officers aren't pharmacists. When they see a handful of loose pills in an unmarked case, alarms go off. To them, it could be vitamins, or it could be narcotics. They have no way of knowing. And once suspicion is raised, that medication is as good as gone. Picture this. A senior traveler heading to visit family packs a $600 supply of heart medication into a tiny plastic box, thinking it's harmless. At security, the officer pulls it out, tilts their head, and says, "What is this?" The traveler panics. They explain, but without the official prescription label, it doesn't matter. The officer drops it into a bin. Gone. Just like that. And here is the brutal truth: TSA doesn't care how much it costs or how badly you need it. Without proof, it's contraband. The hidden rule is this: always keep medications in their original labeled containers. Otherwise, you're just handing TSA an excuse to confiscate them. Part 3. The temperature time bomb. This one doesn't sound like a TSA issue, but trust me, it is. Many travelers don't realize that medications like insulin, biologics, or liquid injectables can't survive extreme heat or cold. And guess what? That X-ray conveyor belt you send your bag through? It gets hot. Very hot. Now imagine your medicine is packed inside your carry-on, pressed against metal, running under that scanner for minutes while TSA inspects the bag. By the time it comes out, the chemical stability might already be compromised. TSA won't tell you this. They don't care if your $800 injectable loses its effectiveness. They only care that it passes inspection. Even worse, if your medicine needs an ice pack, that ice pack itself might trigger another issue. Frozen gels and liquids aren't always allowed unless you specifically declare them. Many travelers have had their cold packs confiscated, leaving the medicine inside to spoil before the plane even takes off. So, what happens? The medication isn't just confiscated, it's destroyed by negligence, and you're the one paying the price, both financially and medically. That's why savvy travelers use TSA-approved cooling pouches and declare them every single time. Because one overheated scan could mean the difference between safe medicine and useless liquid. Part 4. The liquid rule trap. Here's where most travelers, especially seniors, get caught off guard. TSA's 311 rule says you can only bring liquids under 3.4 ounces. Simple, right? But here's the catch. Prescription liquids are technically exempt if you declare them. Now picture this. A traveler packs their expensive liquid medication, maybe an inhaler solution or chemotherapy drug, into their carry-on. They assume TSA knows the difference between medicine and shampoo. Big mistake. At the checkpoint, an officer pulls it out, shakes the bottle, and says, "This is over the limit." Without hesitation, they toss it into the bin. Why? Because the traveler didn't declare it up front. TSA agents aren't required to ask. You have to tell them, and if you don't, you lose. That's why so many costly vials end up in the trash every single day. Here's the cruel irony. TSA rules actually protect your right to carry medicine, but if you don't play the game correctly, they act like you never had that right at all. Part 5. The syringe scare. This one's heartbreaking because it often affects people with diabetes. Travelers bring their insulin pens or syringes tucked neatly in their bags. But when those sharp objects appear on the X-ray, alarms start blaring. To TSA, it looks like a weapon. Now imagine the scene. A senior pulls aside by two officers. They open the bag. Inside, a bundle of syringes worth hundreds of dollars, essential for survival. Without a doctor's note or prescription label, TSA sees danger, not medicine. And once again, confiscation is on the table. Some agents are understanding, others are not. But here's the terrifying truth. TSA has the final say. You can argue, you can plead, but at the end of the day, if you don't have documentation, those life-saving injections could disappear right in front of your eyes. And when it happens mid-travel, you're not just losing money, you're risking your health in a foreign city, maybe even a foreign country. The only safeguard? Keep a doctor's letter and prescription label with every syringe every time. Part 6. The unlabeled bottle disaster. This one shocks so many people. Imagine you've transferred your pills into one of those cute little travel pill organizers. Neat, compact, easy to carry, right? Wrong. To TSA, that tiny plastic box filled with mystery tablets looks like a nightmare. Here's why. If your medicine isn't in its original labeled container, it suddenly becomes suspicious. Officers have no way to confirm what those pills are: blood pressure medication, pain relief, or something illegal. And because TSA officers aren't pharmacists, they don't take chances. Many travelers have watched helplessly as their life-saving meds are swept off the table and dumped into the trash simply because they weren't labeled. The painful lesson? Always keep medications in the original prescription bottle with your name clearly printed. It may take more space, but it could save your entire trip. Part 7. The expired prescription trap. Here's another sneaky mistake. Let's say you've got expensive medication left over from an old prescription. It's still good, still safe, and you don't want to waste it. So you pack it for your flight. Sounds harmless, right? Not to TSA. The moment an agent checks that label and sees the prescription is expired, red flags go up. To them, you're carrying unverified medication without proof it's still legitimately prescribed to you. And once again, they can confiscate it on the spot. Even worse, some travelers have reported being questioned about whether they were abusing expired drugs. Imagine the humiliation, standing there in line while strangers watch you argue about why you're carrying outdated medicine. The bottom line, expired meds might work fine at home, but in an airport they're a one-way ticket to embarrassment and confiscation. Always travel with current prescriptions only. Part 8. The liquid medication limit. Shock. Here's a heartbreaking scene I've seen more than once. A passenger walks up with a large bottle of liquid medication, maybe cough syrup, insulin, or even liquid antibiotics. But guess what? TSA's 311 liquid rule still applies unless you've declared it properly. That means if your medicine isn't clearly marked or you forgot to separate it in your bag, an officer can toss it just like a bottle of shampoo. Imagine standing there as your $200 insulin pen gets thrown away simply because you didn't pull it out and declare it at screening. The truth is, liquid meds are allowed in reasonable quantities, but only if you tell TSA before screening begins. Fail to do that, and you risk losing something your health literally depends on. Part 9. The needles and syringes nightmare. This one catches diabetics all the time. You know you need syringes, insulin pens, or even EpiPens to survive. But here's the problem. To TSA, a bag full of needles looks like potential contraband, unless you can prove otherwise. Travelers who carry loose syringes with no doctor's note or no matching prescription often face tough questions. Officers want to know, are you really a patient or are those needles for something else? And in the chaos of security, that explanation can feel humiliating. The result? Needles, even medically necessary ones, can be taken away if you can't instantly prove they belong with your prescribed medication. The smart move is to always carry syringes with the original prescription label, plus a doctor's note if possible. It's the difference between a safe flight and a medical emergency at 30,000 feet.